What is up, guys? It is Stu, and it is another episode of the What the Fuck Gym Talk podcast from the other side of the world. And typically, I know my buddy, I'll tell you, Boris, with Metcon Creative, I have him generally do like a standing segment on the podcast. He's my go-to Aussie. And now I've got Nathan with me, a.k.a. Slantboardguy.
You do?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. So this is not, the thing that I found most interesting, we were jamming last night at dinner, you make these trips to the U.S. fucking frequently. Like, I think I was sitting there talking about like how I had to travel so much this year, and then like your ass is taking a fucking a 22-hour flight, 18-hour flight. What is that?
Yeah, it's what, 14 hours to LA, and then it's another 5 hours over to the side. So
yeah, fuck. I'm like, yeah, I need to shut the fuck up and stop complaining. This guy is actually traveling. So, you know, for anyone not familiar, Nathan here is I would say you're the original, whether you actually, are you the original person to create an actual Slantboard, or the one that kind of just got it in front of everyone's eye and got them using it? Obviously, there was some catalyst to that and some lightning rods, the Ben Patricks of the world and Marcus Philly and shit like that. But this is a product that by all means is generally, it's a pretty, like if you actually talk from an engineer perspective, it's a relatively simple design, but with absolutely, it's so impactful of like a basic design. I mean, the gym I had before, we would do cyclist squats. We just had people put their heels up on a 45-pound plate, but that sucked, right? Because it was rounded. It wasn't like a nice, even setup. And I think back in time for my gym, if I would have had, fucking branded slant boards, that would have been so much better to help propel my unique belief in fitness and the shit that we did. Walk everyone through real quick. Give them like the 3-minute overview. How you went from, you had your big boy, I'm a dad, I got a bunch of kids, I got a regular job, to fucking around and finding yourself as the Slantboard guy. Yeah,
it was, the quick 3-minute version was I went to a fitness camp, couldn't squat, come up with the idea of a Slantboard, and answer to your first question, there wasn't really a Slantboard on the market. There was some calf stretching boards that they called calf stretching, but nothing that could bear weight. So
what were they made of? Were they just like...
They're just hard plastic. Okay. Just one's made straight out of the factory overseas.
Got it.
And so that was the first thing. That's how it come about. And then, a couple of people asked me to build them while I was still working. I was just like, at one stage it got a little bit annoying. I was just like, come on guys, like, I got a full-time job. Like I'm trying to, look after my family and provide for the family. And
what was the full-time job again?
I was in high-rise residential construction or commercial construction. So like site manager doing that stuff. Yeah, looking after some big jobs, and we just moved state and COVID had happened and bubbled on from there. Like we just got more and more people asking us to do stuff. Didn't have any social media.
Sure.
And then it got to a stage where I said to my wife, like, what are we going to do? Like, do we make a business out of this? Or, I was on quite good money and supporting 3 kids in a nice school in a nice house. And it was a big risk. Like I've never worked for myself. So,
sure.
And my wife was full time in work. So we're just like, what do we do? So I think that was in October 2020. And then we said, let's just have a month and see what we do for a month. And that took us to November, and then we said, let's do it. Let's make the plunge. So
take me, because the story yesterday was really fascinating. Take me through that first day of real sales where they kind of come in.
November 28th.
Yeah, okay. So you have it. You know it to the day.
Oh, don't worry, we know it.
So had you been working with Ben at this point?
No.
Okay. So it's just up there, and then how did that many people, like, just walk everyone through that? Because everyone dreams of that. Anyone, especially in product design or services, is like, I'm going to put it out there in the world, and then I'm going to wake up one day and it's going to be gangbusters. And if you have an excellent enough product or service, that can come true. But kind of give us your story on that.
Yeah, so that's what I said last night. I think, like, you know Shanti, but Movement Maestro, she was the very first person to contact us from the States. And like I said, we didn't have a box, we didn't have anything, so we made a board on our driveway and bubble wrapped it and sent it over. And I think from there on, I think Ben was following her, so I think that's kind of like where Ben kind of made the connection. But we didn't even have a website, so we then started social media. And the tricky part is that people buying Slantboards off us deposited money into our account, but their Instagram name doesn't match their bank account.
Correct.
Name. So
yeah.
We used to
sit there. Send it to their handle right on the mail, on the packaging.
And we used to sit there and we were just like trying to match it all up. We had this little black book, my wife did, and she was like just trying to go, is this person paid? Who's this person? So that's when we got the website, and that was November 28. We switched the website on, and by that stage Ben had got a board. Bought one off us, and that's the crazy thing. I was just like, I can send you one. He's like, no, like I want to pay for everything. then my judgment can't be clouded by people just giving me free products. So he paid for his and he loved it, and just November 28th, like I said, we turned the website on, and I woke up in the morning because we're kind of asleep when you guys are awake.
Yeah.
We're just I kind of rang the lady. I said, is something wrong with our website? We've got 60, 80 sales. It was just a lot of money to us at then. And she's like, no, they're all
legit.
They're all legit sales. I'm just like, oh shit.
Start building.
We've got a problem, but let's get out in the driveway and start building. So that was kind of how it happened. And then, that was November 28th. So December, January, was all out in the driveway, 12, 14 hours a day out in the driveway, cutting just on this little saw.
Yeah.
Until we moved into a warehouse, our very first warehouse in Feb. Okay.
So first day, you guys get a bunch of orders kind of scenario, and then it's like, okay, well, this is cool, but then in the back of your head, it's, well, this is just a pop. This isn't how it's going to be. It's not going to be sustainable. How did you think about that? Because you obviously, before you went to sign a lease, you're going to think to yourself, is this just a flash in the pan, right? Is this just a moment in time, or is this going to be something that is going to be sustainable that I can sign a 3, 5, how long was the lease you signed?
3 years.
Okay. So you got to at least fucking hope that this is going to be sustainable for a minimum of 3 years. What made you think that? Because, I've seen a lot of product guys show up and they become, and service guys, they become a one-hit wonder, right? They get one thing really fucking done well. They ride that, they beat the brakes off it. They sell it till till it's not relevant anymore, but then they don't have anything else. How were you thinking from a business perspective of, okay, the Slantboard, I think if I have this percentage of the population that I could sell to, and, let's say that's 1 million people. Well, until I get to 1 million units, I'm not going to worry because there's always going to be a customer for the Slantboard. How did you think about this?
To be honest, we didn't really have time in essence. And I guess that's what I was talking about last night when we talk about business. It's always like you feel like you get to a point, but then there's something else, right? So it was like, for us, it was like we were super, super busy off the mark, and then we're just worried about making product to keep the customers happy. And then it was like, okay, then you get your warehouse and you're like, okay, it's more outlay. So I've got to sell this many boards to be just as profitable as what I was on my driveway.
Yeah.
But then because we were so busy, then you got to buy a machine. So you start getting your feet on the ground, then you got to buy a machine. And we're talking about $120,000 for a machine. And because you've only been in business 3 months,
sure,
you go into the bank and they're just laughing at you in Australia. They're just like, no chance. You're wasting your time. Just don't speak to us. So you got to fund that. So it's like, you're on your driveway, it's super profitable because you haven't got any overheads, but it's taking more time. Then you move into your warehouse, more overheads, but it's still profitable because you just got your saw. And then you dump 120 grand into a machine, so you're back to square one. Where you're just like,
one step backwards, 2 steps forward.
Like, holy shit! If we don't keep selling this stuff, babe, we've just bought this machine and we've got no money to show for all these sales. So I feel like that pressure kind of never really ever goes away, in a sense, because the lease is one thing, but it's just like now we've got staff. It's continually more and more stuff that you got to worry about. But I think, in answer to your question, it's just, I don't know, I try not to focus on them things. I'm trying to focus on moving forward and staying in front of the game to create different stuff. If not, I think, you don't evolve. You just quickly, like you said, there's these people that just, they boom at the start and then they don't really evolve, and then that's just the end of it. So
yeah. In the service industry, it's hard to quantify COGS, cost of goods sold, right? These are humans performing services, whether it's personal training or group fitness products or whatever it may be. In your line of work, and that's why I've always had so much admiration for product guys, you guys have a much cleaner understanding. Okay, one board costs me this much in materials. It costs me this much in shipping. I know that in shipping, I'm going to lose 1% of my fucking money is going to be to damage carriers and shit getting broke or getting sent back or the wrong order or whatever the fuck it is. How do you quantify that? As you sit here as a product guy, what in the fitness industry, I want to see a gym hover between around a 20% margin. Maybe one day they get closer to 30, but that's that's where we're really topping off. You're not really going to get past a 30% profit margin in the gym industry, especially the micro gym. For you, when you think about it as a product, where do you try to live? If a board costs me fucking $30, I know I need to charge at least $90 because I have rent and employees and fucking machinery and shipping and international fees and all this other crap.
Yeah, so to be honest, up until probably 6 months ago, we were that busy that we literally couldn't quantify it. Like it was seriously that busy. So it was just like, you know, we had someone come into the business and ask us about business and how's it going and profit and loss statement. I said, I don't really have a profit and loss statement. Like,
we have no fucking idea. Yeah.
Our bank account's our profit and loss statement because we had literally no time, you know. And to put it in perspective, like grip tape in Australia, like we're ringing the biggest suppliers in Australia, and they're like, well, we can't keep up. Like we're buying 20-foot shipping containers off them of grip tape, and they're like, what are you doing with this stuff?
Sure.
Like, so we've had people come down to the warehouse and just like actually look
around and say, what are you doing?
Because they thought maybe we're on selling it, like maybe we're doing this. I'm like, no, like this is what we're doing. So they've all come down. But in answer to your question, like with the figures, like we've only really just kind of like finely tuned everything because I said, like with the staff, being able to punch out a certain amount of boards per day so you can quantify, okay, that guy, it costs us $350 a day.
Yeah.
Okay, he spits out 100 boards. So okay,
sure.
$3.50 per board for him to make them, but then you got another 5 of them. So it's just like, you got to weigh that up.
Sure. Do you find now that as the business is sophisticating, you're having a little bit more time to sit back and I'm not intrinsically a numbers guy. Like math is not my strong suit. I can do like barbell math. You roll a barbell to me, I know exactly what's on that fucking bar within about 2 seconds. But regular math, I had to force myself to respect and get better at it and play around. And I purposely would double up. Like I had, I had software that would tell me this is how much money you made that month. And I wouldn't let myself use that. I would create my own Excel sheet with my own shit because it forced me to play with the math. And it forced me as money came in, I got to go to my bank account. How much money came in that bank account? Okay, I got to put it here. And does that match up with the number on that dashboard? And it just forced me to get good numbers because I fucking hate the math part. If I could outsource it, but it's the one thing I found made me more money when I kept my eye on the math. Otherwise, we kind of just go based off emotion. You look at the checking account at the business, you're like, there's fucking 6 figures there. We're good. Well, actually, about fucking 70% of that is already allocated for. And you make these decisions based on this comfortable number, this big ass number in your checking account. But are you finding yourself now as, things, you're getting better systems and stuff and you're having better operations installed? Are you sitting back more or is that more what your wife's doing now?
That's all the wife.
Yep.
I'm the type of guy that goes, there was 6 figures in there. Let's buy this and this, and we can buy a machine and we can buy this and that. And she's like, Nathan, like pull it up a little bit. Like we got some really big bills coming in. I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, where's it all gone? She's like, well, I'm not using it. So like, where's it? I'm just like, yeah. So she does all that kind of stuff, and I'm super lucky. Like a lot of people that meet us are just like, how do you make it work? But
yeah,
it's kind of like I'm more production and relationship building and coming out and doing this.
Yeah, she's
more behind the scenes, money, business side of stuff, jumps in and helps out a heap, super lucky to have someone like that just get down.
Yeah, no,
down and dirty, and even the guys that work with us is just like, holy shit, man! Like you got your wife doing that stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, she loves it. Like because sometimes it's a good relief for her to just be able to come down to the warehouse and get on the tools and do a bit of work. So, super lucky to have her do that part of it because I'm a numbers guy, but I'm not like a money guy. Like I don't handle it well. I'm just like, I'm going to fly here and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Yeah, maybe do it next month.
Yeah. So that's where I want to go to too. We talked about, and a lot of people, and I'm sure it's frustrating for you, whether it's Mick over at HGG Performance with his, the tib bar and the Nordic, attachment. I had him on the podcast, or Isaac over at Anchor. I know Ben talked about his product, but a lot of people the Ben Patrick phenomenon. He touched a lot of unique, small equipment creators, and you guys all had there was some good mutual benefit from that. It's frustrating as fuck for someone to then go ahead and want you to tell you to hang your hat on the success of just that one guy doing X amount of shout outs when, for anyone not familiar, Ben Patrick is now doing a lot of his own equipment and stuff like that, and you guys probably still have a good professional relationship, but it's not as back and forth shout outs as it used to be, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So with that being said, that means you've had to go ahead and be like, okay, your social media is all what I call CGC, consumer generated content. Yeah. That's your marketing play. And then there's you flying all the way over here and making time. Like I remember I was telling her, like when I'm like, I'm going to see, like, I don't know. I'm going to ask him if while he's in town, I don't know, maybe I have no idea why he'd be in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then he came back. I'm like, I don't think he's going to be here. I literally think he's making the trip up here to fuck around and do this. And I'm like, there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
Because I go on the other side of the country to do this kind of stuff, but it's, I book all my fucking San Francisco, San Rafael, LA, like everything there on the fucking West Coast. I do it all at once. And here's you and you fucking New York, Charlotte, fucking Tennessee, like wherever the fuck you're going, you know? I mean, walk me through your mindset of, okay, the States is where obviously a lot of majority of my customers are, and there's a lot of influential people in the fitness scene out there. Like, talk to me about how you think of networking. I always tell people, like, take that cup of coffee meeting that has no ROI, right? Like, do the thing that could be a long-term relationship, but you have no idea if it's actually going to turn into anything for you. And it seems like that's a lot of what you do with your relationship strategies and your marketing.
Yeah, look, I said to you last night, I think that's a big thing. Like, social media is a really, really good thing. Like, you can scale really, really quick. But I think where a lot of people come undone is it's just a text message. Like, there's no face-to-face interaction. There's none of that. You know, today's society is become a little bit like they want that return on investment straight away. Like, when they have that meeting, they want someone to order their product or buy their product, or, hey, I'll send you a product if you shout me out. Well, I'm just like, doesn't really work for me.
Sure.
And I'm more like business orientated from the olden days, like, and I just think it's more, let's just catch up, let's have a chat, let's get to know each other. And you know, there's certain people that we've met that we haven't clicked, and there's other people that, you know, I'm sure that will probably stay friends for a lifetime. And it's not just about a Slantboard, it's more about the friendship now. So that's super important to me. That's the type of person I am. You know, like I said, I come over in January. I did 18 flights in about 32 days in January, middle of COVID. So that was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And then I just come over May and June, did another heap, and then I'm just back now with the family. So we made the decision not to do it again without the family, so that they'll come with us. So, you know, it was really interesting bringing Kim. Firstly, we went down to Miami, and she's just like, it just clicked, and she's like, now I know why you do this. Because at some stage over there, she's like, you're crazy. Like, why you always want to go to America for a month, 5 weeks at a time? And I'm just like, yeah, because you meet some like super cool people that are really, really willing to help you out. And just believe in your product and your story. And, you know, well, we're not just rocking into gyms and saying, hey, can we get a photo with you, Stu, on a Slantboard over there? Just stand there, do this, do that, and then leave. You know, dinner, or we're just catching up, having a chat, and it's really sometimes got nothing to do with the Slantboard. So that's my position on it. I think, you know, moving forward, we'll probably spend up to 6 months at a time in the States. And then, you know, we've got 3PL in a warehouse at the moment. And then just as things progress, then hopefully, I think within 6 months we should have manufacturing down packed here in the States, and that's super important to me.
Where are you going to set up shop?
Probably Tennessee.
Tennessee, yep.
Yeah.
Tennessee, yeah, low state taxes. That would be, yeah. So when you do that and you're an international company, what does that process look like?
We'll have to set up, so we'll set up a US entity.
Got it.
So like it'll be all based here, bank accounts, director over here.
Yep.
So like I said, whether we actually, but on the table now at the moment is us relocating to the States, which is, you know, super important to me. Like, I mean, without any of the customers doing what they've done for us so far, we wouldn't have what we've got, which is just a business. Like, you know, we don't have this $10, $20 million business, but we've got like a successful business, I believe, and a brand that we're building that, you know, 90% of the people that have helped us do that live in America. So the important thing for us is to bring manufacturing here. You know, we do all the manufacturing back home anyway, which is crazy, in our warehouse. It's all built by hand. But for me, it's just super important to bring it over here and kind of give back a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I said. At the moment, it's just about finding the right numbers, being able to have enough sales to be able to put our own staff on over here into the warehouse. So that'll be the 6 month to a year progression. But, you know, at the moment, we've got our stock here at Tina 3PL in the warehouse. So it's kind of getting sent out of here anyway. So we're kind of generating income for, you know, people that live in the US. Yeah, that's kind of a big plan.
Shortens fulfillment time, would allow you to get a stronghold here. Would, you know, I mean, having a location here makes obviously perfect sense. What does, you know, you said you're not a, you know, a $10, $20 million business so far. If you don't mind sharing, how much money is, like, how much the Slantboard guy in sales, what have you guys done in total? Do you know?
I don't know to the top of it. You could ask Kim, but I don't know, in the vicinity of 4 or 5 million.
Okay. It's just incredible to me because a lot of people, again, you know, whether it was everything, I believe everything, I believe everyone has luck, but I believe luck only shows up when you're working hard. I don't believe you're sitting on your dick at home and just fucking, you know, when opportunities show up at your door and you make, you know, this kind of money. You got to have been busting your ass doing something, working hard, and then luck shows up in the midst of the hard work. And you know, COVID timing, things like that, the relationships you've made, the company's done really well, especially by those financial standards that you just shared with us. However, a product-based company's got to constantly look to evolve it and create something new. And you guys have, like, talk a little bit about, like, the entire product line, because it started with Slantboard, and then What's the drop step for the deficit work and things like that?
It's just a step up.
Yeah,
board.
step up board.
Like,
that's it.
It started with the Slantboard, and that's what I want to say about Ben. You know, Ben's obviously been awesome for our business. You just mentioned it before about. We get a lot of people that say, you know, you're only successful because of Ben. I'm like, okay, to a degree, he did help, you know, our platform, but it's just as hard when you have someone like that to scale the size you need to scale to up. Like that can ruin your business, right?
Sure,
like
having this one mouthpiece.
Well, yeah, but like, you know, he'd post and you'd do 100 boards, you know, so it's like, if you're not on top of your game and they're posting and you're selling all this stuff, it's one thing to sell it, but you've got to fulfill the orders, right? So it's like, that's why I love being in control of our own manufacturing. Like if we weren't, we wouldn't have a business. Like if we're getting them made overseas or wherever they will get them made, we just wouldn't have a business because we wouldn't have been able to keep up. So Ben loved the Slantboard, and then I was obviously doing his program, and he does like a lot of the, you know, progression standards and how he does it. And I like it. It's really good. It's measurable, so you know where you're going and how you're doing it. And I just noticed that he was just standing on them plastic, like nearly like aerobic blocks, the Reebok ones that they make.
Yeah.
And it was flexing, and I'm just like, that's like, they're pretty cool for just people that need no weight. I said, but we should just build something that, you know,
sturdier.
Yeah, and like all our stuff's good for 600-700 kilos. You know, it's like no one's going to stand on there with that weight. So I said, I messaged him and said, I've come up with this mad idea. It's like 2, 4, and 6 inch step all built into one. You don't have to keep stacking stuff on top of each other. You can use it like this. Send him a little demo, and he's like, that's mad. Can you make one for me? I'm just like, yeah, I'll send you the prototype. It's a little bit rough, but sent it out, and didn't really think anything of it. Like, just thought, okay, we'll probably sell a few of them, and then they just took off again. Same thing, just went nuts. So that was good. And then meanwhile, like I said, like you're doing that, but in the back of your mind's always like, what's next? Like, what's next? Okay, we've got that. What's next? What's next? What's next? And then it was January. It would have been January 21. Like I had my new concept of our travel boards in January 21, and I think we just released them in like May this year.
And the travel board for everyone is just like the 2 smaller slant boards that you can, easier to carry around. They would allow you to do different things. Like, you know, when the slant board's right underneath you, because I use the one I bought from you guys, it's when I use the big base one, if I'm doing something like I wanted to do a double arm deficit kettlebell deadlift and go down, the board gets in the way. But if you have those individual ones, you can have anything in between your legs.
Yeah, and they stack on top of each other. And we kind of just, there's a lot of stuff out there which is cool that people are coming up with different ideas, but we didn't want to take away from our original slant board, the original angle, everything that made it so popular, but we just wanted to try and make it into like a travel version. So when we did that, we just come up with that, played around with it a little bit, and then just, you know, try to customize them with colors. And like I said to you last night about branding, so, you know, you walk into a gym and you can kind of see them and know that they're ours, right?
Sure.
So we did that, but like I said, from January 21 all the way to May this year, like we had that sitting there, but didn't release it because we were so busy. And, you know, once again, you want to move forward and create more stuff, but you want to keep the customer happy. And to do that, we had to hold on. So, like I said, again, there's always, if it's not money, if it's not machines, if it's not product, there's always, once you think you've got one thing like down set, it's another issue. Like it's another problem. There's something else to overcome. So, yeah, good problems. Like they're really good problems to have. But at the end of the day, yeah, like you're always trying to progress, and you know, there's people copying you, and so you're trying to keep ahead of them. And like I said, if you're an inventor, I believe you always invent stuff. People always copy, you know, what you're doing. But if you stay ahead of the game, then you know that's the key to success there, I think. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
I told someone one time, I was like, we were talking about the slant board, and you know, it was one of those conversations where the other guy was talking about it was like, man, why didn't I think of that? I'm like, think of everything you do in the gym in which you makeshift it by stacking plates on top of each other. That could be like small plyo boxes. Like I need a 9-inch plyo box, so I'm going to stack 4 45s on, or anything that you just makeshift in the gym. That in and of itself is a product opportunity, right? Like anything that we rig up, right? And we just kind of like, oh, I'm going to do this with this to make this work because it's not designed to do that. Like that's always the opportunity, but it's inventors, it's product guys. And I'm not one of them. I just respect the shit out of you guys. Product guys see that and they're like, oh, I totally need to make something to solve for that. My biggest one forever, pull-up bars. So I've got this ability to go pronated or supine on the pull-up bar. Why can't I go neutral? Now, Rogue makes some pretty fancy attachments, but I gotta fucking have that thing permanently installed. why can't I just have an attachment that would hook over the pull-up bar and allow me to now have a neutral grip? And, you know, that was something I would bitch about 12 years ago. And now it's something you could find on Amazon for $35. Like, right? Like, people have come up with that. And it's all just like, when you're in the gym and you're coming up with new shit, you're always rigging together some half-ass shitty, like I see guys who like with incline, they don't have incline benches at their gym, so they stack up like 745s and put the back legs of the bench right up there on top of it and pray to fucking God it doesn't fall down. It's stuff like that, you know. And now there's attachments. You can take a rig, it's got a bench and it attaches to the J cups of your rig, and now it's perfectly set up and you can change the angle of it. It's ideas like that, they're endless, especially in a gym setting.
Yeah, it's always going to be like that because everyone has a different need.
Yes.
Right? So everyone that walks into the gym aren't the same. So they all have a different need. It's about coming up with the idea that's scalable for you to be able to make a business out of it. That's my belief. Like, I could make 20 different slant boards, but for the time that it would take and for it to be scalable, you know, people always message, oh, can you make one that's 10 degrees? Can you make one that's 15 degrees? I'm just like, it's not that easy, right?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people go, oh, the slant board's easy to build. I'm just like, yeah, it is. Aesthetically, if you want it to look aesthetically nice,
sure,
and the functionality behind it and the timber you use and the angles you cut, that's not that easy.
Yeah.
Can you make one in your garage? Yeah, of course you can.
Yep. And you can change it whatever angle, but to do it at scale, that's not fucking easy.
No one. When we're talking about tens of thousands of slant boards, it's not an easy thing to do. You got to be set up to be able to do 200, 300, 400 boards a day. It's just not scalable. So
yeah.
I wish it was, but it's not. So.
We were talking, actually, a lot of the gym owners that listen to this are constantly always looking to get an edge on their competition by the type of fitness that they offer, how to make it look different than the gym down the street, when a lot of the tools that they use, a lot of the ingredients are the same: barbell, rower, pull-up bar, plyo box, whatever it is. And, you know, going back now, if I were to open another gym again, the Slantboard would totally be one of those because it checks so many boxes for me. Number one, it's unique. You do not see that in group fitness. I'd be hard pressed to find a group fitness program that has designed their group fitness model with this unit in mind. There's probably several of them that I can't think of or haven't come across yet, but it's definitely unique. Two, it's operational capacity friendly, meaning for these gyms, and we're all trying to get the smallest square footage we can get because shit is so expensive, especially in the States, to get warehouse space or any retail space. I need stuff that could stack and store in the corner and not fucking take up a lot of space. You know, we still look at these archaic things. Like, I swear to God, how has nobody come up with a collapsible plyo box? You know, the ones that are 30 inches, 24 and 20? Fucking create a goddamn, you can put fucking what's his face on the moon, but you know you can't. But I can put lasers in my eyes and have LASIK eye surgery and have 20/20 vision, but I can't get a goddamn collapsible plyo box because you look at a gym that wants to have 20 of them. Holy shit, that entire section of the gym over there is fucking gone. You got to stack them up. It's a pain in the ass.
Takes up all the space.
It does. So it's like I always got off on equipment that was smaller, that didn't take up space and still gave my clients a unique and a great result. Have you come across any gym group-based models that are using these as one of the primary exercise modalities in their gym?
Not every single franchise, but F45.
Okay.
We've got probably about 20 to 30 franchises.
Okay.
That use our equipment in them. But other than that, there's like a couple of really big CrossFit gyms in Melbourne, back home, a lot of the universities over here, a couple of the NBA teams, 10 or 15 at a time that they buy, which is good, but not really someone that's like a F45, like just go to get an agreement and go, okay, let's incorporate this into your workouts and, for every...
It's part of the equipment package for every new location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which would be super cool. I think it's a really, really good fit, but it's more about an education piece, and I guess that's another thing why we've been so successful around Ben, is Ben bought education around the equipment. With a lot of the equipment that you see now from HGG, Isaac from Ancor, Ben's the one that's delivered a lot of the education around it, which has helped. But that's what I think plays a huge part in it. I mean, you can come up with a product tomorrow, but if you can't show people how to use it or the benefit to them for that equipment, then what have you got? You got a good piece of equipment, but you haven't got someone.
You literally just nailed something I think is so important, is giving people the word ammo, the knowledge ammo, because when they talk about stuff, and that's one thing I think CrossFit did so well. Before CrossFit was what it was, it had the CrossFit Journal, which is just this free publication that you would read it, and then I could literally read one CrossFit Journal article, download that, digest it, and then turn around and tell my buddy who's doing bicep curls and using the elliptical every day, that's fucking stupid, and here's why. Here's why you should do this instead. And you should be doing power cleans and mix it in with your cardio. And I instantly, even if he thinks I'm a fucking whack job, right? I have this educational ammo I'm able to hit him with. And that's what everyone wants. If they discover the slant board, they do want to tell their friends, dude, this slant board thing's great. And their friend goes, well, why? It doesn't hurt my knee. Like they don't feel like they have a good foundational, good explanation. Anyone who's a fan of Ben Patrick's now knows what they can say now, and they sound intelligent about the thing. And that's what we all want. We want to, defend the things that we believe in from a unique belief and fitness perspective, but we just don't want to sound like fucking idiots. And I think that's what Ben and CrossFit and things like that, companies like that have done. They've armed their customers with the education needed to go out there and have a debate over a beer with their other friends as to why this is a better solution.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Like that's what I said. You could have the best idea and the best piece of equipment, but if you don't have education around it, you're not going to go anywhere. It's not going to work.
Talk to me.
It's like a gym, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. That unique belief in fitness for a gym needs to be something that someone could go and argue. Like if they go to a CrossFit, they need to be able to argue with their Orange Theory friend as to why CrossFit's better than Orange Theory and vice versa. Neither are right and neither are wrong. As long as you feel like you can defend it because someone has also given you the education in and around it. So from what we talk about, like, hey, you're constantly having to fulfill. You're having to sell. The product, when it's great, helps sell itself. You're having to market, but when the product's great, people help market for you. But that constant invention piece, right? And constantly for you, an inventor is someone, in my opinion, who's constantly curious, always looking at ways to do something a little bit better, a little bit different. Talk about the most recent board, because that was one that, like, again, out of all the, you have all these guys jacking your shit and ripping you off left and right. But your most recent board, I haven't seen anyone hit at it yet. I'm sure they're right behind you at some point. But
it'll be there in a couple of months.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, like I said, that's the disappointing thing for me. A lot of people don't realise how much time, effort, money, trialling stuff goes into it. Like I said, January 21 to May 22 for the travel ones. It's a long time, right? Like there's a lot of stuff, testing, everything like that. With the new one, Jeff Lavecchio, that I was talking to you about last night from St. Louis or Chesterfield, he trains a lot of ice hockey athletes. So I was there in January and May, and we're just talking about, like, what do you think would benefit some of the people, some of the kids that you're training, this and that. And we're looking at the motion of like ice hockey players and like how they skate. And I'm thinking, why don't we build something like this so you can... I see a lot of people put our boards up, our original OG, up against a wall, and they jump off it and land just on a flat surface. And I said, it's kind of not what happens in most sports, right? Like, you're not landing on a flat surface, you kind of like land on angles. So I said, why don't we make this? And again, we're trying to create a dimension that was beneficial for us, beneficial for the customer, but didn't wipe out our other product as well. So we come up with the Axis, and we've got rave reviews about it. Everyone's loving it. Yeah. We've sold, lots of them. Yeah, a lot more than what we thought. And then that's how it come about. And to be honest, we've got it in the hands of some other people, and some of the movements that they've created. Dan down in Miami, that I just spent a couple of weeks with, live kinetically. He it just blows my mind. Like, they're doing push-ups on them. They're doing I can't wait to go in the gym later today with you and show you some of the moves that they come up with. But it's just like, it amazes us. And again, I get back to the education piece, right? If people actually buy the Axis and see that you can do 30 different movements on it, then it becomes a cheap piece of equipment that you can do achieve a lot of stuff on it, rather than just being a slant board, or rather than it just being for one exercise. So education's the way to go. I think that's where we're kind of pivoting a lot into the education space, and then we'll release the products on the back of the education. Yeah.
I got to connect you at some point with Brandon and Kirk. They're the founders of Metabolic, and they were NHL hockey players. Yep. And their entire program, you can just see the installed elements that they went through in their hockey training. They even have, like, you put the fucking thing around your feet, and it's a slide board, just side to side glide board kind of thing. And so as you're talking about with Axis, I was like, oh fuck, Brandon and Kirk would probably love this, because they love anything that is, again, it's going to be outside the box. It has origins with something like hockey training that they experienced. Yeah, I definitely need to get you connected with them. It's funny when we think about the fitness industry now and some of the other products that come out. As an inventor, what are some other products you've seen hit the market that aren't necessarily in your lane? They're not like a direct competitor of yours, but things like they're out there that you're like, impressed by, because I refer, and I said this to Mick and I said this to Isaac, you guys are all part of this like graduating class for me, like this like 2020 graduating class of thinking outside the box fitness product guys. The product only before your class of that came out was the Torpedo. And the Torpedo is a product that if a kettlebell fucked a dumbbell and a barbell, they had a 3-way. This is the fucking product that would come out. I've got 2 of them back there. I'll show it to you before we leave. But essentially, it's got handles on the side, so you hold in this neutral position. You could hold it by just the one handle and swing it. You could grab it by the center like a dumbbell, and it's just it's a beautifully unique piece of equipment. And that was the last thing I saw where I was like, man, I'm just impressed by the ingenuity behind that. What have you seen out there? Because you probably run into way more products than I do, and I try to keep my eyes open all the time. But
oh, dude, you got to go down to Miami and see Dan from Kinetically, like Live Kinetically. He's got every toy there is to have. The super cool one I've seen down there at the moment is Cinderfit. I don't know if you heard of Cinderfit.
Were you squatting with one of those on the Slantboard?
Yeah.
Were you holding? I saw the video, yeah.
And I went and met the guys that created that super cool company and just come up with the idea. And they're kind of got like a little CrossFit gym there, and they were using Bessa blocks, like concrete blocks, and that's how they come up with the idea. And they've made it into it's a super cool product, man.
Yeah.
I think it will go nuts. But again, looking from business perspective, I'm always, brain never stops thinking. Sure. Just like, it's a lot of weight that you got to send around. Like, it's the same as a dumbbell, right? But it's just like that cost. Like, it's hard these days because everyone wants a really good product, but they don't want to pay for the good product. They want to get something on Amazon.
Yeah.
And, the quality's not there. So it's just like, for them guys, I think that'll be the biggest challenge is their pricing point, but their product, like, it's out of this world. Like, you can do everything with it. Like, for me, like a kettlebell, like, doesn't stack up.
Sure.
To that. I think it's crazy. You can use it as a box. You can use it as anything. It reminds me of the Torpedo when you were actually just talking about that, like how many movements you can do with it. That'd probably be one. And probably the other coolest one is like Monkey Feet, right? Which everyone knows about. Super cool guys, super cool company. So that one. And what Mick's doing at HGG, like, he's created a fair bit of pretty cool stuff. It's a shame, like I said, now there's so many more different ones out there, and at the end of the day, do they do the same job? Probably, but quality's got to do something for someone. Like look at Rogue. Like Rogue's kind of like the benchmark, right? And that's what I said. There's space for everyone in every bit of market you can do and look at. But people go and buy cheap bumper plates and barbells and stuff like that. But then you got Rogue at the top. Then you got Kabuki that are just innovating. Like they're the other ones, man. Like they're crazy. Like their warehouse is nuts, man. Like I was in there, just like I was having I could have stayed there for days just
like
watching machines. And
like
it was so good, and what they create and what they do and how they do it and hold themselves. I think it's like mad. Like,
have you ever been to the On It gym in is it Austin, Texas?
No, I think it's in Austin, Texas, but I haven't been. No.
Yeah, no, I've never been myself either. I've heard that's again another really cool kind of experience in there. They're really big into the maces and the clubs and all that kind of shit. When I think of like product opportunities, like, again, there was the Globo Gym World, go to the gym, use the traditional weightlifting equipment, right? And that was played out at the time. CrossFit shows up, really pushes free weights and resistance training, Olympic weightlifting, body weight. So there's like that big rush. But then there's like a little bit of a consolidation. You see like Marcus Philly kind of going back towards this like quote unquote functional bodybuilding. Like it's okay to isolate body parts. And there are some machines that make it crazy effective to do so. Leg extension, leg curl, which the Monkey Feet kind of selects. The gym we're going to go to here in a little bit, like a bunch of the guys that I'm buddies with there, they'll bust my balls. They're like, Stu fucking turns this place into a goddamn Globo gym every time he walks in here. I've got 2 Anchors set up, right? I could do some different like flies and shit. I'm doing my leg extensions, sitting on a 30-inch box with a foam roller underneath my knee. All that good. And so like I look to, man, the Globo Gym does have some great equipment that I do like. I do like to isolate, and especially as you get older, you can't just squat clean and deadlift fucking every goddamn day. You can. It just eventually is going to beat you up a little bit. It's like I look at the opportunities out there for you product guys in the fitness space. It's like, what machines out there are incredibly beneficial, but they're just too fucking big. No boutique gym's going to fucking buy these things. Hell, I've taken Anchor. I took the 2 of them and strapped them to the top of the rig. Just sit down flat on the ground. I take them out and I put a PVC pipe and I hook the 2 handles to a PVC pipe and I just pull like a lap pull down type scenario. And there was a woman in the gym doing open gym one day, and she goes, hey, do you work here? I was like, no, I don't want to work here. I just work out here. She's like, I'm having a really hard time with pull-ups. Do you think something like that would help me? I was like, fucking 1,000% that would help you, right? If you don't, you know, and it's just so fucking cool because like that's where I see like so much of a lot of the opportunity is how do we bridge the big, bulky, yet has some potential benefit. And there's plenty of machines that are dog shit I don't think we need in the world, but there are some that have plenty of advantages. But then we get into things like, how do we load it? Is it a pulley system like the genius of what Anchor came up with? How do you add resistance to it? All that kind of stuff. Where are you working at? I mean, obviously when you're not building and working and doing do you like going to the traditional gym? Do you like going to a group gym? What do you like to do?
I've put on about 10 or 15 kilos on this business journey because I haven't had time to go. But I don't mind just going down to a normal world gym, a normal standard gym, because I can take all the stuff with me.
Yeah.
You know? So like, I've got my Slantboard, tib bar, monkey feet. And I love going there because it kind of showcases.
Correct, yeah.
It's not about showcasing our equipment, but the looks that you get.
You do,
like,
yeah.
You know, they're just like,
what the fuck's that guy doing?
What the fuck's that guy doing?
Yeah.
And then I'll specifically leave it there to go and do something else, and I'll come back and someone's
on it
using the Slantboard, and I'm just like, and they look at you and you're just like, I'm just here to get the Slantboard, and they go, oh no, I'm using it. It's like, oh no, like it's mine.
Yeah,
it
like, doesn't belong here. Yeah,
and you're just like, oh, and they're like, oh cool. So you get into that story and tell them a little bit about how it come about.
You can buy your own. Did you know this?
Yeah. And it's crazy to me, and it would be crazy to you, but like you go, oh, do you know Ben Patrick or do you know Marcus Tilly? And they're like, who?
Yeah,
and you're just like, even now when you travel around Australia, like America, or travel around the US, and you're just like Ben Patrick or Marcus Philly or Mark Bell, and they're just like, who? And you're just like,
how do you not know that?
And that's the encouraging bit, but because you're like, when you're in business, you're just like, well, how many more of these things can I sell, or what can I do, or you know, how much is out there? And then when you actually hear that, you go, fuck, the world's big, right? Like it's fucking huge.
The actual penetration the fitness industry has had in the world is minimal.
Yeah,
minimal.
Yeah, so that's the encouraging thing. But yeah, I like to just go down to that gym, work out. We've got some stuff in our office. We do want to move to another warehouse. We've got 2 at the moment that we've outgrown. So we want to try and get one bigger warehouse so it's all in one, and then we can fit it out with a nice gym, podcast studio, and then just have visitors. Actually save me coming
absolutely.
Over to the US. They can fly over.
Exactly.
We can host them for a little bit. That'd be better.
Exactly. We were talking like the hiring marketing companies and shit like that it's a crapshoot.
Don't start me.
Yeah. One of the things I've found and I think has worked the best for so many people organically is shit like that, like podcasts, right? Like every gym I work with, I do my best to sell them on an idea of having just a podcast for their gym in which they're not actually talking about their gym. They're talking about the local city. So if a new bar, brewery, restaurant, a new 10K race, anything that's happening within the city, talk about that. That's interesting to remember. You can only talk about fitness and nutrition for so fucking long. And interview your current customers. Learn about them. Interview other local business owners. Learn about them. Be a source of information that's much more about than just one thing. Like I think, you kind of look, if you really look at the macro strategy of like a Joe Rogan podcast, it's about anything and everything.
That's right.
It makes it more agnostic. Ben Patrick's got a podcast. So have you ever thought about like Slantboardguy doing something in media creation like that? So obviously you guys want to be an educational outlet. You know enough people. You could get more than enough people to pop on a Zoom call and do a podcast with you in a fucking heartbeat to talk about the benefits of stuff. You guys ever considered that from like an organic, low-cost marketing perspective?
Yeah, like 100%. It's coming. It just, everything at the moment takes time. You know? But when we grew so quick like we did, and you need so many staff, it's really, really hard to be able to like put yourself like, at the start, you think it's hard and you're wearing 10 different hats, but then you got 10 different people working for you. But it's just as hard because you've got to manage them people and tell them what you want done, how we're doing it, what we're doing. So it's like we're getting there, but like we've kind of got to just pick what we want to do first.
Sure.
And like I said before, the warehouse, the manufacturing, that's going to come first, and then everything will come second behind that. Because I think once we get that done, the business is sustainable to a degree, and then we can kind of like concentrate. Okay, cool. My wife can concentrate on this. I can concentrate on product development and podcasts, and still, like we said, that relationship building. And then I think that's like the winning formula, right? So there's, like I said, you see now, there's guys on YouTube that have stuff all following on Instagram, but they got a good YouTube following.
Yeah.
And why they got a good YouTube following, why they're popular, because they've got an education. Like they're showing people what they do, and they're talking about it, and it's not just a Instagram post with some music on it and a reel.
Yeah.
Which is cool for some people, and it's
It makes me aware of you. I know you exist, but then like Marcus, like his stuff is on Reels is boom. It's like, okay, cool. This guy exists. He knows what he's talking about. But if I want a really deep dive, I can watch a 20-minute fucking talking head video of Marcus, and I could really feel like he's, you know, teaching me something. Like I'm getting free education essentially.
Yeah, and if you go back to the early days of Ben, every single one, it was all educational, right?
Yeah.
Like, I use him as the point at the moment because he's the most relevant one that's, you know, recent. But I just think that his, you know, the way that he come out and he did what he did, a lot of it was for free. Like, it's just like, you know, a lot of education for free that people could just go on his page or go on his YouTube and see what they're doing. And I just think that's been a massive part of why he's been so successful. I
agree. And for anyone, like, I think a lot of people get discouraged with social media. Like, there's already so much out there. Why should I even bother? Ben didn't create anything new. He simply provided education on topics that just, there were videos on, you know, single leg split squats and things like that, and getting the knees over the toes. Like, there were even Louis Simmons videos of him talking about when they would compete against, I think, the Scandinavians in weightlifting competition. Like, how do these motherfuckers never get injured? We show up to these meets every year. My top guys are always banged up, and they fucking kick our ass because they were dragging those fucking trees backwards to the woods and all those stories. And so that shit existed. He just looked at it and was like, this stuff really works, but no one's really talking about it at scale. Let me just talk about it at scale. And that's all it is. If you really believe in something, there's something you really like, you vibe with, there's a theory, whatever, as long as you can present it in an educational / entertaining way, you have a shot at you know, becoming an SME, a subject matter expert in that one little area.
Yeah, and just becoming relatable. Like, you're doing the podcast and the way that you hold yourself around all the other gyms, like, you're relatable, right? So it's just like a lot of people are drawn to that, and that's what I said there was yesterday when we were talking. There's a huge audience that he's relatable to, right?
Sure.
18-year-olds all the way to 80-year-olds, right? There's no one really out there that I can think of in the space at the moment that has that broad range of audience, of age group.
Yeah.
So, and that's just because of how he's presented himself, and he's made himself relatable to that whole range. So,
we talked yesterday how difficult it is, even with having patents, how quickly someone could just jack your shit, right? If someone's listening to this and they've got ideas for a product, what recommendations would you have, or what advice would you have them if their number one fear is like, okay, I'm going to put all this time, effort, and energy into something, and then it's just going to get ripped off?
How long do we have to talk? It's a bit of a sore point at the moment. But no, look, it really depends on what you want out of your business and what you want to do. If you're looking to build a business up and build a brand and exit in 4 or 5 years, I'd say head straight into that land, get all your patents sorted out. But if you want to just come in, go as hard as quick as you can and make as much money as you can, and then doesn't really matter, then why bother? Because there's going to be someone that takes you on, and your patent's only as good as how deep your pockets are to protect it, so and defend it. So it's a tricky one. What I would say on the whole issue is it's like there's a lot of time and effort that goes into inventing a product, whether you think it's a basic product, whether you think it's a sophisticated product, or it's made in China, or it's made in Australia, America, wherever it is. Whoever's designed it and come up with it, there's a lot of work that's gone into it. I can't really stand for something that just people just pick up and take and just go, okay, cool, Slantboard guys making money out of Slantboards, let's make Slantboards. You want to make a Slantboard that's different to mine, more than happy. But when you get someone that just actually just takes your design and mimics it, so then other people think that they're buying off you, but they're not buying off you, that's what, that's a shit. Like, it's a shit go.
Yeah.
So
people even taking, your URL and changing it ever just so slightly, and taking your logo and changing it ever so slightly. I mean, like that, there's, I'm a big fan. One of my favorite quotes is, good artists borrow, comma, great artists steal. But I define stealing in business as taking inspiration from multiple different sources and then creating this like Frankenstein version, this hybrid version that otherwise didn't exist. Because if you just take inspiration from one source, one Slantboard, one product, well, what you go and create is probably going to look exactly like that fucking thing. But if someone took inspiration from this product and this product and this product and this product, and then they came up with, this thing that didn't exist prior, that's what I'm all about. Because I like new shit. I don't like regurgitated versions of current shit that is not as good.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone benefits from that, right? Because it just pushes the bar higher, and then other people are thinking, okay, look, I can take that, but I can add this. So if I put them two together, then I'll come up with this. I think that's the progression that everyone's looking for, right? As an inventor anyway. But when, like I said, when they just take, like you said, they regurgitate the same shit. It's super frustrating, right? Because, you know, just even you go on about the logo and the brand, like you're getting a designer, you're meeting with a designer, you're talking about the design, is it legible, what colour is it? All that's time, money, effort you go into. And someone thinks they can just come along and just go, I'll take that, oh yeah, I'll use that, I'll just put my name there instead. So that's probably the hardest thing about business. Like, I take it really personally. I've got to try and change that perspective and just be like, yeah, whatever, like, let's just keep pushing ahead. Yeah, for the patents, I don't know, for me, they're super important. But for other people that just want to get in, get their money, make as much as they can for that 2 years, then, yeah, I will.
How long does it take to get a patent? Like, so did you have to file your patents in Australia and the US?
So Australia is a little bit different than the US. US give you a grace period, so you can start selling the product and then lodge. Australia doesn't. So if you sell, which is crazy to me, because how do you know if you're going to sell anything? And you're already worrying about money. But if you sell 1 unit in Australia before you apply, then forget it. So that's a little bit tougher over there. Here, 16, 18, 24 months, COVID, like everything's changed, everything around a lot. You can expedite it, you can pay more and expedite it, and that's just for a design. Then you go into utility patent, and that's where we're talking about big money, lots of time. But it's, you know, it adds value to your brand if that's that exit you're looking for in 5 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's, you know, we were talking last night. Products are great. Products will get you there, and you got to have a great product. But ultimately, when there's a phrase I really liked, it's like, in a world of parity, my best friend wins. Meaning if 10 knockoffs show up with Slantboards and Axis and all these other things, the one that's associated with a brand that I most resonate with is the one who's going to win. And we saw this, like, Lululemon is a great example of this. When Lululemon really hit, like, pay dirt in the United States, the one thing that was just mind-boggling to me was none of the women, and it was mainly a female audience in the beginning, would throw away the Lululemon bag, that tote bag that they have in the stores. It had utility. They'd use it going to the grocery store or whatever. It was a great, like, it was a high-quality bag. And nobody, like, all the bags you get at other stores, you'd fucking toss them. You never thought twice about it. Number two, it was now a status symbol. You'd keep that bag. You'd use it to take your clothes to the gym or your lunch to work. And people are like, oh, shit, that bitch can afford Lululemon. Yeah. And it became a status thing. I definitely find myself fall prey to that, where I will look at 2 items, and one is considerably inexpensive than the other, but the other one has a brand that either I resonate with or I like the status of it, and I'll go with that one. Because in a parody world, my best friend, aka the brand that I want to be associated with, is going to fucking win.
Yep.
You know, if I like 10,000 brand shorts and gym apparel, and that's what I want to rock, even though these Nikes over here are $40 to $5 less per shorts, fuck it. I don't want, because every dude in my gym is wearing Nikes. I want to wear this brand over here that I resonate with. When I see their advertisements, I'm like, dude, that's fucking me they're talking about. For Slantboardguy, you guys have a brand, and I think what you're doing in the traveling around, I think it's so much. So there's 7 elements. I teach us that, like, there's 7 elements to every brand, and one of them is the creator. And so much of what people like about a brand, it comes from the mouthpiece and the actions of the creator, until the company gets big enough, and now there's so many other people underneath the creator that are influencing it as well. How much do you feel the success of your brand has to do with all this hand-to-hand combat you've done, making relationships, doing the right thing by the customer, you know, traveling out here, and, you know, fuck, dude, stories you told me yesterday of, you know, flying out to literally hang out and meet with 1 or 2 people, and the meeting didn't work out because of this, that, or the other thing. And fucking, you're like, shit, am I going just all the way back to Australia without this meeting happening? But you putting in that effort, how much of the brand success do you think comes from that versus it just being a really good product?
I think it plays a massive part, but that's only my belief, because that's how I am. Like, if someone flew all the way out to Australia to see how we build our boards and what we do, like, it's super important to me. Like, you know, I don't know anyone that wouldn't think that's important. So, you know, like I said yesterday, we leave Orlando with the 3 kids and, like, drive 8 hours, like, up here. And, like, I was speaking to the guy today. He's like, "You checking out today?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm off to Tennessee today." And he's like, "What?" I'm just like, "Yeah." So it's like, but that's just my opinion. I think it comes across way more important than sending someone a text message or a video message or even a Skype. Like, Skype's good, but this face-to-face interaction, you can't beat it. And I just think that's the old school way of doing business. And like you said, I don't walk into a gym, or I don't meet you thinking, yeah, I'm going to go to Charlotte, I'm going to sell 100 units today.
Yeah.
It's just, It's just meeting people, and just in this industry, you never know who knows who. I just think we're lucky enough with Ben that Ben introduced us to a few of them people, but that's what I said. Like, it's a lot of work to maintain them relationships and build on them relationships. And I think we have. Like, I think we've spent a lot of time, effort, money. Like, it's it's not cheap to come to the US at the moment.
No,
the exchange rate's killing me at the moment. But just one of them things that I think is super important to everyone, and I'll continue to do it as long as I can.
I think the best business owners can see the long-term ROI of stuff like that, and the ones that aren't going to probably make it, if I had to gamble on it, can't see long-term ROI. They've like, okay, but how's it going to make me money next month? How's it going to make me money next quarter? What do you mean I'm going to go to Charlotte and not sell 100 fucking boards? Like, it's not worth the trip. Don't do it. And I'm so much of the belief like yours. Like, I buy a Mark Bell slingshot or the shake straps. I've never met Mark Bell, but I know who he is. I remember seeing the first documentary created when I was in high school, and it just changed my fucking mind as to what content creation was. So when I use that product, I'm like, yeah, I like this because I think about the guy who made it. And I like just associating with that person. Same thing with you. If I got a gym owner who listens to this, he goes, hey, talk to me more. How would you create a gym using the Slantboards as a product? Fuck, I'll get on the phone with them too. And I'll be like, but listen, you definitely want to hit up fucking Nate. And like, that's the product you want in your gym. I associate so much of the brand, because brand to me, the definition I like to go with is it's a person's gut feeling about a product or service. Now, that gut feeling could be, fuck the Slantboard, or that gut feeling like, the Slantboard saved my knees. The Slantboard has completely added a third dimension to my training I never had before, and I literally will continue using this until until I stop working out, until I die. And I just think so much of the brand is going to be tied into the owner and what they put out. So much of it. And I was looking through your social media this morning, prepping for this. And I was like, man, I want to see, like, you do so much travel. I want to see you do more, like, face the camera, like these journals, these little mini vlogs.
Don't say that. My wife's going to kill me because she's been on to me for like a year at least. Like, they need to see you. They need to. And I get more and more comfortable being in front of the camera, but I really like. Yeah, I don't like it. I get
it, but like and listen, we got to have dinner and hang out with your family yesterday, and your kids are fucking hilarious, by the way. Your kids are a trip. I saw so many brands create that relatability to it, because I can't relate to a product. I can relate to the person behind the product. And if those mouthpieces are the Ben Patricks of the world, I was like, fuck. It's like, I was setting up the cameras for this, and I was like, maybe I'll just go with one. I'm like, no, I want one on Nate. I want one, because I want people to see see who this guy is. And, because you're so relatable, especially to me as a small business owner, as a dad who has to incorporate his family into the business at times. I mean, I was set up for a podcast, and my kid will sit down right there. She's like, what are we talking about? I'm like, I'm not talking to you, but let's go practice, right? Like, we'll fuck around and do all that. So brother, if any bit of advice you didn't ask for, listen to your wife. She's not wrong about it. Get yourself slightly more comfortable out there, because I truly think that people relate to the brands in which they like, and your story and what you do from it's invigorating to me. I was telling Jess, I flew more this past year than I ever have, and I don't want to do that again next year. It was so fucking heavy. Got back from dinner with you. I was like, fuck that. I'll do it smarter. I won't cram as much. I'll space my trips out a little bit better. But fuck that. Like, Nathan's right, man. That's exactly, like, that's the thought I had in my head. And when I'm getting lazy, I think about, I don't need to do that, right? When I get tired or whatever. But then, sitting there last night with you, I got so reinvigorated on it. I'm like, dude, this is exactly what I enjoy doing. I regret the trips until I'm on them. Leading up to them, I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to fly out to LA. I got to do this.
I wish.
Yeah. And I regret it until I get there. I'm like, I'm so happy I did this.
Yeah, like, mate, like, I had no intentions. We're in Miami. I'm working out. Next minute, I'm like boxing with Hector Lombard. Like, it's like someone that's just like one of the originals, I'm just like, so the people that you come across and the journey that you hear and what they do and how much they want to support you and they love what you're doing. It's really inspiring me. Like, I love it. But it's just, there's two different ways people look at it. Like, I've got friends at home just like, well, just spend all that money, you go to America, it doesn't guarantee sales. When you could spend that money into marketing and you've got this ROI and your marketing dialed in,
sure,
and you can go, it's this. And I'm just like, again, what you said is that there's not a return on investment straight away, but you just don't know. Like, that's what excites me. You don't know what that return on the investment is. Like, could be nothing, but it could be something huge, So yeah, it's just something we did. Of like, this will probably be top up 3 months this year in the US so far, and we'll probably extend a little bit. There's some people that I forgot about that I need to meet in LA and San Fran, so we'll go over there and introduce them to the family. And again, I think like this one's been a little bit more special. People got to meet the family, so it makes, like you said, it makes it a little bit more relatable again. Like there's a family behind the business. You know, they're always helping us out in the warehouse packing boxes, and it's a little bit slave labour.
But don't worry about those child labour laws.
There's a little bit of that going on, but no, they love it, and you know, it teaches them a lot. Like, you know, and like the culture and everything they've seen on the trip, and you know, it's not just for me, it's for them.
Your kids are. I meant to say it last night at dinner. They're fucking drawing and sketching, and they're doing all this shit. I was like, oh shit, they've got like, that's definitely like their dad's like product design engineering genes in them. Like I was watching some of the drawings, and she was copying some. I was like, holy shit, that's good. Yeah, it's very cool, man.
Yeah, they love it. Like I said, they're supposed to be doing a journal because we've taken them out of school for a while, right? Yeah. So it's a big thing over there. The school's not a fan of taking them out for so long, but they learn a lot. They get a lot of culture, so they're doing their diaries every day, and they've seen some pretty cool stuff, man. They've met some really cool people. But again, I think it just builds that bond stronger. You know, there's been people hanging out with their wives and families and stuff like that. So it's not a business thing. Then it becomes more of a friendship thing and a family thing. And again, like when I met Dan down in Miami, like I had no intention of going there and meeting anybody else. It was just to go there and meet Dan, work out with Dan, and all the people that we've introduced you to. It's just another huge network of people that like Cinderfit. I didn't know Cinderfit before I met Dan, you know, and then I look at their product and I was like, this is like super cool. So like, when you're on the other side of the world in Australia, it's a lot more difficult to come across people like that. So no, I love it. I think it's great.
I love it, dude. I love it. So for anyone listening, where's the best place that they want to go capture, get a look at what it is you guys are doing, get a Slantboard? Where do they go?
We're just, our Instagram's just Slantboardguy. That's probably the best place to see, you know, what people are doing on the boards, and, you know, what you can do in the boards, what can be achieved, what we're about. And then just our website's just www.slantboardguy.com. If you want to buy or just check out the products that we've got some pretty cool stuff just about to drop. And that whole education piece, I don't know, I think we're probably 2 or 3 months away. But very cool. We're not very far away at all. So hopefully looking forward to that, and a YouTube channel kicking off. So
I love it, man.
That's where they can find us.
I love it. All right, Nathan and me are going to get out here. We're going to head to the gym and go fuck around and work out and play on the slant boards. All right, guys. Talk to you in the next one.
Thanks, mate.